Okay, today we're going to have forehand tight volley, and this is going to surprise you, and hang in there till the end of the video because there's a few things that will actually break down and show you how they happen and what actually contributes to making a quality forehand deep volley. Okay, first we're going to take a look at our footwork. Now I'm going to reposition my right leg. It's just so I get it in the best position, so it wasn't even much of a reposition because the ball's pretty good. What I want is to get the ball into my control zone. So my control zone is anywhere between, as I go through to strike, I'll call that virtually strike. So my control zone is anywhere between my head here and my hips. That's the most comfortable control area that I've got. In other words, I control 100% of what goes on through that area when I strike the ball. So I need to make sure that I move up and down the court. So I'm going to move this way and that way with that foot to go and get that in the right spot for the right height. So if I had to move back, I would have moved back to get the ball at the right height. So the footwork sets the height of the ball for you, so you must move. If you don't move to the right spot, you simply can't do what you need to do. It just doesn't work. So that's part of the deal. Okay, so that's the footwork. Let's watch the follow through as we go from here. So if we follow through from here, okay, so the amazing bit that most people will actually not believe is the fact that I'm striking off one leg. And you go, well, how can you strike off one leg and get the full quality and the outcomes and everything as well? See, the left leg still comes well off the ground, and that's to maintain balance. So the left leg is solely there to maintain balance. So it's this balance through here. And we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly, but it's this balance through this leg right through here. And that's actually come in, my left leg has come in and it's gone up. So this leg here has all gone from here and it's moved up and it's moved in when I've struck and all sorts of stuff just to maintain supreme balance at strike. And that's how that one works. So the footwork, will just go quickly to show you that really quickly again. So just watch my feet. Left leg comes off the ground, point of impact, strike, and there's the balance. And it's all about point of impact, striking, balance as we go from there. Okay, let's take a look at the prep. So the prep, racket goes back. You keep your racket face open as you bring it back. You keep everything relatively compact. You need to throw your wrist out when you need to, not early. So you keep everything relatively close. We're at the point now where we're going to start to take the racket back and around, but this is really quite close to shoulder because compact is strength. If you maintain strength in your prep, then it works really, really well. Okay, so then from there, it's racket face open and back. So this is the one that we want to really work on and to keep in your mind. So your racket face is open and back towards the back wall and towards the roof. So try not to turn your racket over this way at all, because that causes too much flick around with your wrist and all sorts of stuff. So it must stay back and across. If you can do that, it works really, really well. And so then we continue. We go around. The wrist stayed in the one spot, and that starts to set your balance. So right now I've locked in, and we can talk about balance a little bit now as well, so we'll blend into balance as well because we've just done prep. So what I've done is I've locked in my position now. So if I go from here and I draw a circle, and I'll draw that around my head there. Okay, so now if we go and work on balance and we watch what happens from here. So I've got a balance position. So right from this point here, all I've done is I've just stood up a little bit taller, and I basically haven't moved my head, and I haven't moved anything, even through the point of striking. And everything is really quite well balanced. So I've moved away a little bit because I'm falling back onto my left leg now, just for natural balance, as in natural strike. So after I've struck the ball, if we just go back to here a little bit, so there. So once you strike, so you see how long you stay in a balanced position. It's a fair while that you stay in that balanced position and strike through. So it's pretty cool. It really works really well. The next one is the interesting one. This will actually show you a few things about what happens. We're going to work on the last thing I say with balance, just quickly, we'll just take a look at our left hand really quick. because balance is left hand. Left hand will point out towards the front wall. So front wall when you start. So watch left hand here, it goes backwards and it turns out to the front wall. Unfortunately you can't see it, never mind. So then you can just see left hand there out towards the front wall. Now what happens is your left hand will come into your side and it will maintain strength. So it comes into my side as I strike the ball, and it virtually doesn't turn out, so it doesn't turn behind your body. Okay, so it works really well. Okay, let's get into body turn. This one's quite amazing. So with your body turn, you see we get our shoulders. So I'm currently facing the corner. So I'm currently facing the corner. What we're going to do is we're going to prime and prep. So here, priming is the priming of your body. So the shoulders come back to side on. So that's as far as we've gone. Okay. Now, what's quite good to look at here is our feet are this way. And that's virtually 90 degrees toward the corner. Okay, and our hips at the point of start are around about here, and our shoulders are out to here. Now the shoulders virtually face this side wall, so they virtually face across here. Our shoulders virtually face across here, so we can get really good side on. Your hips turn around that way a little bit as well, so they face towards the side wall, and that'll give you natural body preparation. So it's a natural body preparation. I'll leave those lines on there, and we'll continue through to strike. So from here, as we go from there, so the shoulders have gone now, and the hips are turning out. We'll call that strike there. Okay, so at strike, our feet have not changed other than one foot being in the air. Our hips have changed. So our hips have gone through to here. I'll just change that for a line. Our hips have gone through to here, so they've turned out, and our shoulders have gone through to here. Now what's interesting is that our feet, which haven't really changed at all, these three lines through here are all in line. So this line, and this line are all in line. So they've basically made sure that your body is 100%, this line here facing that corner, this line here facing that corner, this line here facing that corner. Now at point of impact, I could not be in a stronger body position. This could not be a stronger body position. What that means is nothing is turned out. I'm just basically like I'm standing there. This is the strongest possible body situational position you can be in, other than having that foot off the ground. You could have that foot on the ground if you needed to, but I would say because the ball was relatively high, that's why this foot's off the ground as well, because I had to go and maintain the whole height to get that exactly right of my whole body. Okay, so everything is in line. My body is absolutely supremely balanced. It's really quite amazing. And you'll see the body turn. After this, there'll be virtually no body turn. So after this, from here, if I continue the shot, the swing, from here, we've struck the ball from there out to there. Nothing basically turns. Virtually nothing is turned out. So the only body turn you do after, other than when you prime, and then you unwind to be super comfortable in a super strong position, and then there is no body turn on follow through. Simply none. You don't turn your body on follow through at all, and your left hand does not go around outside behind your body. It doesn't follow around. All right, so the next one is going to be an amazing one for most people, and we're going to look at our striking position. Okay, so we come around here and see the wrist. We'll take a look at the wrist right now. Wrist bracket's pointing up to the roof, and it's slightly open here, and we start to open it back to the ceiling, to the back wall. It comes around, and the wrist is very much cocked, in a cocked position there, so it's still cocked. Okay, so the wrist is cocked right back through there. So the racket currently at this point in time is pointing back towards this way and coming around this way. So it's actually coming around this way here. So we've got that hammer action that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we're going to watch this hammer action here. This is where the racket is currently pointing here. It's around about 90 degrees to my wrist, to my forearm. And it's going to go around through this way. So I'm going to release my wrist as I strike. And if we have a look from here, there. So it's come around through. And at that point there, you see that's basically strike, or we could call that strike. So from here, it's interesting, I've dropped my wrist completely, so it's almost like it's an extension of my forearm. And this is the big one. There is strike, and then this one here virtually breaks the wrist, and that's what they tell you not to do. So you're going to take everything with a grain of salt about what they tell you what to do and not to do. So from here, I've virtually broken my wrist. Now there's a reason for that. Most people would say you shouldn't break your wrist, and if that was the case, what happens, that means that my racket would have to be up here now, and there would have been too much racket head movement. So what I've done is I've maintained this racket head movement. I've maintained all the racket head movement from here to here to go down the wall. So I want that ball, because I'm getting the ball off the wall, it's a really tight shot. I basically want the racket head to transverse along the wall, so I cannot afford to keep my wrist cocked. I need to break my wrist on the follow through to make sure the racket head is still. See how much of the racket face you can see? It's very, very round. I haven't turned it over, I haven't rolled it over, I haven't done anything. I've kept it really, really open. It is very much hitting the ball that way. So it's very much striking the ball directly down the wall as it shows. So it's really quite amazing just what it does. And so that broken wrist, which is a bit interesting, to say that you break your wrist is quite an amazing thing for most people to see. Then when we follow through, it's still a broken wrist with the racket face open. I really want the racket face open on the follow through. So now we're into the follow through. So what we've done is we're basically opening the racket face and keeping your wrist out, really open the racket face. And the last thing I want you to do is to point. That's the finish. The racket's not moving now. So if I go back to where the ball's on the front wall, okay, we'll call that front wall. Okay, one more. That's front wall. Okay, so I'm basically pointing toward the ball, nearly pointing towards the ball. You'll find in a second I'll point towards where the ball was. So what will happen is my racket, I believe, will go up to there, exactly where, there it is there, exactly where I hit the ball. That was where it hit the front wall, where the arrow is, and that's where the racket finishes. I've just pointed it out. So if I keep that just quickly there and show you, that's where the ball's going to hit the wall. That's point of impact, and then I'll push it out, and that's where it goes to. That's how you keep your racket face down the floorboard and keep an open racket face to strike the ball down the wall. That is your follow through, and you haven't turned your body out with it. Racket face stays open. It's pretty cool. It works really, really well, and it's quite amazing the outcomes that you get. And so it just makes such a difference if you can get it all right. So there you go. That's a bit of a look at the forehand volley off a tight ball. Just that happened all really quick, but to just show you just once again how tight that ball was. So the last thing I'll leave you with is this. So when you strike a tight ball, because the ball is very much on the wall, so what happens is you're going to strike with this part of the racket. This is a bit that's going to strike now shortly. The ball, I haven't got the ball on the racket on with the frames. It just didn't work out that way. Normally what happens is you like to strike through here, through the center of your racket, but you're basically striking in this area here of your racket, and so you get not as much power, and you need to be careful that you don't strike the wall when you actually hit. So all this balance and control in your body is really important to make sure that you're really well balanced, so you can actually judge the distance between the sidewall really, really carefully, and make sure you don't fall over when you're striking. So that distance through there is really important. This distance here from your body through to the ball is really important to make sure you've got it all covered off right. And so you just have to understand that it's not like you're powering the ball down the wall. You've got to play a feel volley, is the best way I can put it. So you're actually using the end of your racket or the edge of your racket, the very top of your racket, to get as close as you can to the side wall to feed the ball down the wall. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. It's pretty cool to just see what happens with a very tight volley down the wall. So the ball's really, really tight. It's on the wall when you strike it, and you've got to be really careful. You place the ball, it goes down the wall, and look how tight that ball is. That ball is basically on the wall as it comes all the way down. It's just phenomenal what it does. It's just great. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that very, very much in-depth look at returning a tight forehand volley down the wall.